I did give a very brief intro about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your franchise background, how you got involved with Rush Bowls.
Well, thank you. I've been very fortunate. I've been in franchise development over 25 years. I have helped build several large networks, a few smaller ones. Others haven't gotten much traction. I did try 3 of my own concepts, and admittedly, I failed. So 3 strikes and I'm out. I now take other people's ideas when I can and run with those. But we all learn every day. We never should say we've seen it or learned it all, but I have seen a lot in franchising. So in order for me to get excited about a concept, it needs to be different. It needs to be special. Where's the secret sauce? And if I don't see that sauce within literally maybe 30 or 45 seconds, like Shark Tank type of thing, I'm going to lose interest. So when I was introduced to Rush Bowls 5 years ago, and I saw that Andrew, the founder, had this fantastic concept with, that had maturity to it. He was in business 10 years, which says something. And then he partnered with Buddy Brown and Capstone restaurants. With that was huge horsepower. Overnight.
Tell us a little bit about Buddy. What's his background? And I understand there was the original concept, and then he got involved.
Yes, Buddy he is the founder of a different Boulder headquartered company, strictly coincidental, named Capstone Restaurants. And 5 years ago, at the time, Capstone owned 400 franchise restaurants. Carl's Jr.
Oh, wow. So a lot of different brands, or was it just one brand?
Carl's Jr.'s, Hardee's, Taco Bell, pizza, and maybe some Dunkin' Donuts thrown in there.
Okay, so this is a serious player in the franchise industry.
We were the 24th largest restaurant franchisor at the time, with about 400 stores. And he had this huge infrastructure right there in place, purchasing for everything, staffing, training, marketing. So
supply chain, everything.
Everything. So Buddy had heard about Rush Bowls, secret shopped it in Boulder, like everyone else, loved the product, but for Buddy, the light bulb went on. Think of like a comic book idea bubble. I think this is the next big thing in healthy eating and franchising. Let's look into taking this national and then global. And then through sheer force of personality and an equally sizable checkbook, Buddy pursued Andrew for about 6 months, convinced him they should partner 50-50 in Rush Bowls, and that's what happened. They got industrially married, as we call it, and launched. So what happened?
And then shortly after you joined?
Yes. So what happened was when Buddy, what did that mean when Buddy and Andrew got married? It meant that Buddy sent in the development team, a development team the size of that a $400 million company would have, gave it what we call, for lack of a better term, a franchising colonoscopy. Andrew's store at the time, that's 10 years old, 400 square feet, doing a 250, 300, about 1,000 a day in sales. And bingo, we developed the modern day Rush Bowls, current market, and we opened the first company-owned, true company-owned, modern day, Buddy Brown envisioned, Capstone restaurant executed Rush Bowls.
Okay, and where was that the first one?
Downtown Denver, and that we looked at all different business models, all different budgets, and what we decided upon was about 800 square feet is the sweet spot, and a target budget in most cities of about 200,000 to open. That's
so 800 is pretty small. Are customers just coming in and they're not hanging around?
Precisely, grab and go.
That bodes well with COVID right now.
That's and will be for the future, yes. But that's how we've always served, because our customers are on the go. That's the active, healthy lifestyle of our customers, not sedentary sitting in a bar with with their keisters on a stool. They're headed to the gym, they're wherever it might be. Just like in the video.
So you've gone through some of the things that initially attracted you to the brand. What keeps you very excited about the brand, and what should excite potential franchisees?
Well, that's a loaded question. The Rush Bowl serves many purposes. In other words, for me personally, I'm an athlete. I like to consider myself a jock. I try to eat healthy. I like that lifestyle. I can't do well promoting a brand as I do if I don't believe in it.
Yeah,
before Rush Bowls, I was involved with UFC gym. In the gym, so that's my style. So for people looking for a business that's simple but not easy, that might lend itself to the lifestyle they're living, health, wellness, fitness, and the true belief in that, and wanting to promote that in your community, Rush Bowls is a great opportunity. If you believe in the product and if you believe in yourselves.
And why now, given 2020, COVID-19, it was just announced 2 different vaccines in the Western world, should be approved. But why right now might it be a good opportunity to open Rush Bowls?
Well, matter of factly is that our stores that are open more than 1 year have seen sales increase about 20% year over year.
Wow.
And that is attributed directly to the owners, but also to COVID, the environment, the environment.
Is it because of takeout and delivery? I guess everything's just takeout now, right?
Well, yeah.
Do you do the third-party apps?
Yes to all that. I don't want to sound like a wise guy, but between the owner, the founder, being in, let's give Andrew all the credit in the world. The man started this 16 years ago. He was way ahead of the curve, and he just celebrated 16 years in the same location in August. So he has seen everything. Now that he's been through the pandemic, he even adds that to his experiences of that he has survived and thrived through. So you have Andrew, the founder, and you have Buddy Brown with Capstone, operationally, how complicated his concepts are, and myself in franchise development, working with people. We really have thought of everything.
Okay.
In terms of questions of how to run the business, hurdles, challenges, what could go wrong, solutions. I really, truly believe that. That's what I saw here. That, from day one.
We were talking earlier, there's some things that have propelled the brand, especially in light of the pandemic, like the focus on grab and go, personal health, which you've already alluded to. Tell me about this home office, small office, how you guys are already positioned, given the locations you're in and the locations you want to expand in.
All right, so our business is thriving and will thrive for the foreseeable future for those 3 reasons. Number 1, greater attention being paid to personal health. That was happening before COVID. Now it's off the charts. And we're going to see permanent societal changes. Just like after 9/11, we saw them with security. We're going to see the same thing with health. People walking around with masks and gloves, taking temperature. It's common, ubiquitous. Secondly is the grab and go. Our stores are small, does not lend itself to tables. We don't want to pay for rent. This is not a family of 4 sitting down for dinner. This is people grab on the go through apps or whatever it might be. We do it all. And the third reason is, like you talked about, this migration we're seeing of the workforce back to small office, home office, otherwise known as Soho. And our stores have been open in the suburbs, and not near office parks typically. So, we didn't have stores that shut down at 5 o'clock and are quiet on weekends. But they open, that environment that had not been us. And so now that we're in the suburbs, that has helped us weather the storm and will the foreseeable future.
Okay.
So
tell me a little bit about the business model. How does it make money?
How does it make by serving in rush bowls profitably? But that's a question that could take endless discussion. So what I like to tell people, for those that are out there, if you want to let's just pump the brakes for a moment. And if you grab a paper and pen, and visually you can think of this business model as a 3-legged bar stool that you as the owner or owners sit on top of, typically without the need of a salaried manager. This business model was developed, and some people call it semi-absentee ownership. Others call it, arm's length drive-by management. You get the idea. We do not expect owners to be behind the counter, and we don't need owners to change their careers unless they want to. And that's a whole nother subject. So assuming that someone just staffs this out with part-time hourly workers, this can be done and is being done semi-absentee because of the 3 legs. And we label the first leg simplicity. This is all about you as the owners and your ability to do this, to execute what Andrew's been doing for 16 years. And now we have other owners doing it for anywhere from 1 to 4 years, or 1 month to 4 years. So simplicity meaning there are not many moving parts to this. Very few things that could go wrong as compared to one of Buddy Brown's, Carl's Jr.'s, or Hardee's. Easy to train people, easy to replace. You need to parachute in as the owner in an emergency and replace someone behind the counter for a shift, not the end of the world. We don't want you to do it, but if you had to, you could do it. So, and there are other parts of the business model that I'll point out to you if we get into it individually that lend itself to simplicity. We do keep referring to it. So the first leg is all about you out there as the owners. Your investment history, your expectations, time commitment, it's all there in that first leg of simplicity. Second leg is about the site, the all-important real estate, the location, and your ability to do it at that site. Execution, as we call it. So flexibility, you can open up as small as 500 square feet if that's the right, what becomes of it, if you like that, or go up to over 1,000. Maybe
how do you find the sites? Do you work with like a national firm, or does the franchisee come to you with the site? How does that work?
That's a whole long discussion, but yes, we assist depending upon how much help is needed. We have national accounts with people with boots on the street looking at sites. And the key is knowing what is going to become available, not what's been picked over that you see the sign. We know it's available. Who's losing their lease? Who's building new stores? Who's getting kicked? That's what we want to know. And by having a national,
you get the market color with the realtors that are in your network.
And we want someone to earn their commission paid by the landlord, not by you. So the second leg is, and it's also about neighborhoods. Where do we look to? Where do you start? Because if you've never done this before, you can look at it. It's like looking at a skyscraper. Whoa, where do I begin? So in any major city, the first place in terms of priority to look, what the realtor knows to where to look, near schools. Universities,
Okay.
colleges, high schools even. We want to be near schools. But just because you may want to open there does not necessarily mean you can, because of real
And
estate.
is there a particular demographic that you do better with or worse with?
Well, again, college students are perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Plan B, we like to open up near hospitals or medical centers.
Okay.
So another demographic, healthcare professionals and patients of all ages. A third type of location is what we call gentrified. In some downtown areas of urban areas, what used to be Skid Row, today brick lofts, condos, yoga studios, and Starbucks. Or you go out into the burbs, where you see new shopping plazas, Home Depot, new high schools. And lastly, so schools, hospitals, neighborhoods, and lastly, what we call activity neighborhoods, a beach, ski resort, regional airport, tourist attraction. That's where it's just people you might never see again. Thousands, millions of people walking by.
Any lessons learned for locations that didn't do as well, like that weren't in one of those categories, or were you guys just pretty strict from the beginning?
Well, yes, but it's always in hindsight. For example, we had a store open earlier this year, downtown Detroit.
Okay.
As killer gets. For those of you that may know Detroit, the landlords was the Ilitch family. They owned the Detroit Red Wings. They owned Little Caesars Pizzas. They're Detroit all over. They own the skyscraper across the street. So they put them in a Fox Theater, where they hold all the Broadway shows. They had an entrance off the street, an entrance from the Fox Theater, across the street from the skyscraper, near the ballpark. This thing was perfect until COVID.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Theater, sports.
Everything shut down. They're struggling. They're struggling, but they're getting relief, free rent, all that. But still, nothing is perfect. Up until now, we've made so much success at universities. That's where we open. There's a lot of schools have been closed. So this year, the university school stores have they've done less than 20% growth. So that is.
I've heard some food businesses are down 50%, 70%. So
yes, we have weathered the storm because of health reasons, grab and go, and on the Soho. Those are three factors that are reasons for our growth. So we're well positioned.
That makes sense.
We're well positioned.
And imagine there's some people listening now that might want to invest in a Rush Bowls, but just don't know how much it costs to open one and how much they need to have in terms of cash. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Boy, now we're really peeling back the onion. Sure. A back of the envelope budget. The idea is that we would like to see you open. It also depends upon the city. Opening up in downtown, if you open up in Manhattan, New York, or Chicago, is going to cost a bit of a premium, about 20%. Again, go back to the simplicity leg and go back to Rush Bowls. We've thought of everything, including site and site selection and lease negotiation and budget to get open. We want to see you open for as close to $200,000 as you can.
Okay.
We may as well break it down. Where does the money go and what could go wrong? Let's not kid ourselves. So if we come to terms with somebody and we want to get married, as we say, then we will, without any hesitation, sign an agreement for one store. And the owner will then write a check for $45,000 to Rush Bowls. That's the licensing fee, one-time lump sum for one store.
Okay.
Okay. Now they have 45,000. Now we're going to go out and find that site, and understanding that Rush Bowls makes no money until you open. We charge a 5% royalty on sales. So we then will, once you have the site, plan on spending up to $80,000 for all your furniture, your fixtures, and your equipment. Otherwise known as FF&E. So
does the landlord cover any of that? Have you seen that, or
maybe? That's a maybe. So assuming that you do spend the $80,000 and you've already spent the $45,000, that brings you to $125,000 invested. All right. Now comes the great variable. Literally $0 up to $50,000 for what we call tenant or leasehold improvements. What needs to happen to the site to get it ready for Rush Bowls, and who pays for it? Flooring, wiring, plumbing, what was there before? So many factors. And that's all part of negotiating. And will help. But we think, worst of circumstances, we don't want to see you spend more than $50,000 for that budgeting for that. So assuming you spend that $50,000, that takes you to $175,000. And now you'll need to dedicate another $25,000 for what we call administration. Your business licensing, your inventory, your training. Again, go back to simplicity. There's not a lot there. You're not buying all kinds of signs and all types of furniture, and it's not for 800 square feet. So assuming you're going to spend $25,000, there's your $200,000 budget. And if anything could go wrong, where will it happen? At that tenant improvement stage. Right? Even if the landlord's paying.
That's a big variable, because it'd be contractor could go over budget.
Oh, if you don't we do not do it for the owners. The owners must do this for themselves because they're there to write. We'll show you how. We'll tell you what to look for. But you've got to ride herd over that, otherwise it'll get away from you. But if you do it right, if you can execute, go back to simplicity, it should come in at no more than $200,000. Maybe $250,000, maybe $250,000 in Manhattan or Chicago, the major, the A markets. But we like B markets.
We have a question. We have a couple of questions coming in, Philip.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So one from Luis. Rush Bowls can evolve or operate as a dark kitchen or ghost kitchen for delivery. Can the franchise adapt to this model? Do you have some pilot or proof of concept around this?
No, we do not. We are still considered an emerging brand. So our business, our theory, our go-to market strategy has been, and we thought this through, to open a storefront and then think of it as hub and spoke. Whereas this is a Starbucks mentality. Let me just digress for a moment, where you will see the same customer several times a week ordering the same thing. And for your employees behind the counter, it's a bartender mentality. They're proud to work at Rush Bowls. They tell their friends through social media, and they make great tips. So we believe that
you prefer to have like takeout, for example, over delivery, like using third-party apps, because you want to have that connection.
Well, we have the connection. We get the connection through the foot traffic that comes in the door. And then through the engagement with the customer, they learn what we can do for them, delivery and catering. And that's why we've shied away from anything other than a storefront. But we have plans for drive-thrus. See, drive-thru does not give you that engagement. That's more for burgers. So, but once you have that relationship with the customer, we think then you can afford to have the non-engagement. So the question about a dark kitchen and a proof of concept, not yet. We're waiting for, think of hub and spoke, where owners are opening their storefronts. Some are building empires, but they've decided on more storefronts as opposed to food trucks, drive-throughs.
And it's probably different because a lot of food concepts, it costs like $500K, $700K to open up. So a ghost kitchen might make more sense for them as an alternative.
But it's also the dark kitchens that need the complex equipment. Grease traps and hoods, freezers, blenders, and a cash register as the equipment package. So
there's less of a value add for the ghost kitchen for your firm for Rush Bowls compared to burger or chicken franchise.
So far, we've been able to handle the delivery and the catering at the store.
Okay. And we have another question that I'll handle from Mishu. Any idea when all the U.S. consulates are going to open and start normal visa processing? So I imagine Mishu wants to apply for an E2 investor visa. Many of the consulates are already open. We've had approvals in Hong Kong and Norway. There are many U.S. embassies and consulates currently processing E2 visa applications for franchises like Rush Bowls. So that's something to definitely consult with your attorney. But there are ways that you can come to the U.S. on another visa and change your status here in the United States for the E2. So there's definitely ways, if you want to move here and you have the cash to invest in a Rush Bowls franchise, there are definitely ways that you can get an E2 visa right now.
Yeah, I don't mean to get political here, but now that we'll have a change of administration, they saying that they are going to be more open to accepting E2 applications.
Exactly, and they're getting Biden wants to get rid of some of the green card caps. So for those that want to, after getting the initial E2 and then eventually want to get permanent residency, it should be more flexible in that regard.
It's supposedly going to become simpler.
And then, how many hours does a typical owner work in the business?
Well, it depends upon, of course, experience and skill set of, again, go back to that first leg of simplicity. Our modeling that we've seen is this. If someone has never done this before and someone keeps it a separate profession and they're opening their first store, the first 6 months, we're seeing about 20 hours a week.
Okay.
Second 6 months, we're seeing about half of that, about 10 hours a week.
And is it kind of random hours throughout the week? Is it mostly during the week, mostly weekend, or
depends upon the site? Depends upon the site. And you as the owner, you see, one of the best, again, go back to that first leg of simplicity, 98+% of the transactions at the store are non-currency, non-cash.
Okay. So they can monitor from their phone what's going on.
Well, yes. In other words, there's very little opportunities for sticky fingers. All right, that's why you as the owner don't need to be there. Back in the day, that's why owners were slaves to the stores, because the cash register. But now, between electronic banking and real-time accounting from your phones, you'll know when your hours to be busy are.
The safeguards are in place.
Well, not safeguards, but you can pay. You'll know when you'll need to pay attention. When you open in the morning, on a Friday morning, November 20th, typically one person behind the counter.
Okay.
One person during usually 2, sometimes 3 if the line is out the door. You as the owner will know because of how busy it gets when you need to be there, if at all.
So you talked a little bit about startup costs for the business. Are there any resale opportunities available right now?
Yes, we have a couple of owners. We're in phase 2 of franchising. And what that means is that we have had enough owners open long enough to determine whether or not they want to build empires, hub and spoke, and they're building third, fourth, some are on their fifth store.
Wow.
Others are just happy with one, keeping employment, happy with one store, very happy with the return on their investment, but not living for the income off of it.
Sure.
It's a supplement.
Supplemental
income, correct. Active investing, that's what we call it. This is not just buying a mutual fund, and listening to Jim Cramer at night. And it's more active than maybe buying a piece of rental property. That is, and some owners have decided, Philip, we don't love it enough.
Okay.
Or personal problems prevented them from executing, and they needed to exit the system. So a couple of stores have transferred, and a couple of stores we are encouraging the owner to get the store in shape to be resold, and that's a special situation, takes a unique type of analysis.
Okay, so after initial consultation with you, you can evaluate basically if the candidate would be good or not.
Right, but it's going to be location based.
Sure.
3 stores. I mean, that's all we're talking about. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's all over the country. But you never know.
We have another question from Luis, actually, in terms of the supply chain. So what about the supply chain? How is it managed?
I'll address it this way. Let's go to the third leg. So the first leg, we talked about simplicity. It's all about the owner. The second leg is all about flexibility of the site, size, and neighborhood. And the third leg, which we haven't discussed yet, we label it transparency. It's all about us at Rush Bowls.
Okay.
And you'll see it. So the only way we make money is a below market 5% royalty on sales.
You don't get cutbacks or rebates from vendors like many big franchisors.
Correct. Owners will never buy anything from Rush Bowls except advice, counsel, and guidance. So we make the supply chain available to owners. Basically, our distributors, Capstone's distributors through Buddy Brown on their account. But
instead of just 35 locations, it's like being part of 400 locations.
That's what made it special when I joined New Rush Bowls franchisees plugged into Capstone for support. They're treated as one of 400 stores from day one. That made a difference because in order to provide the return on investments that when they sent in the development team and pulled apart the books, in order to deliver the ROI, the expense ratios, as we call them, needed to be in line. So we make it available to owners, but you're not mandated to use it except for the quality part because we take no remuneration. Any economies of scale, any type of rebating flows right back to the owners. That's what we call a Buddy Brown factor. Buddy Brown being a franchisee of these huge.
And he's a franchisee. Yeah.
I've heard the stories. He's been lied to, encroached on, not given rebates entitled to, rebates hidden from him, all that. So he's saying, and for the first time in his career, he's saying, I'm the franchisor, I'm going to make the rules. And that's the transparency part. That is a huge advantage for owners because Buddy has lived these battles for 20 years and he knows. So part of the simplicity of this is seeing that, how it benefits. And that's the supply.
How are you positioned? Tell me a little bit, who are the competitors? Because there's no like national healthy food chain. Who do you compete with and how are you positioned in that space?
Well, looked at it a couple of ways. The Rush Bowls customers not considering going to one of Buddy Brown's fast food, Carl's Jr. or Chick-fil-A or anything like that. The Rush Bowls customer is thinking, where's Whole Foods? Where can I purchase a kale salad? Or if I am going to go ethnic, I've been trained to think of Chipotle. And in either of those in either of those types of environments, venues, you'll spend $10, $12 for the meal. And that's the Rush Bowl's price point. That separates us from dessert, from yogurt. We're a meal. So those are your competitors.
So you see your average ticket's like above $10.
Almost, depending upon the market. In Washington, D.C., it's 11. Where we just said in Salt Lake City, it's 9. So
that's solid though, compared to like a coffee shop or a frozen yogurt franchise. It'd be like half that.
Right, but we do see these healthy food bowls on the menu of like a Jamba Juice or a Smoothie King, where it's just an add-on to the menu.
Okay,
right?
Not the focus.
Correct, and that helps us. All boats rise with the tide. But we believe we serve a better product. The one thing I can say is that as a company, Rush Bowls, what we are, except for the protecting the brand name, what we as a company are most anal about, our third rail, is the actual texture of the product when it's served to the customer. That's a difference maker, and that's why we come to the stores to train the staff. We will not leave that store unless those bowls are perfect. And we secret shop as needed. We'll know if it's not being done right. Because
you mentioned DC. Where else do you want to grow? Where do you see the biggest opportunities right now for Rush Bowls?
I don't mean to be a wise guy. Everywhere. Healthy eating is a trend now. It's slower in acceptance.
So South Florida, all over Florida.
But some cities, some geographic areas are more forward-thinking than others.
Sure.
In other words, the Northeast, the Boston area, is a lot more progressive than Indianapolis.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that it can't be done, because it's being done. We're opening in secondary cities. We're educating the public. Here's a new way of eating. But I can tell you, Patrick, and anyone listening out there, if you might be shy yourself about selling and marketing, I can tell you the entire sales presentation for Rush Bowls, the sales pitch, if you want to use that term, has literally 3 words to it. 3.
What is that?
Here, try this.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do to sell the product. And basically you will buy your customers, no different than Amazon or no different than any other company that hands out coupons and gives out free samples. Because again,
so you're all about the repeat customer, having that customer that comes in twice a week.
Think Starbucks. Right. And not just seeing you. What do you do? What opportunities can I deliver? Can I cater? What can I do? And that's part of it.
Well, we're wrapping up a bit with time. Do you have any closing thoughts? What maybe you want to take away for someone that might be interested in investing in the healthy food space?
Yes, in terms of, again, go back to the 3 legs: simplicity, flexibility, and transparency. Each of those is an exhaustive conversation, but I can tell you that the executive team of Rush Bowls, Andrew, the founder, myself, and Buddy Brown, and the support people, the marketing people, these are all doers. These are people that have done things, have executed, and are successful, and are just applying the skill sets we have to the healthy food space. So
it's well said. I love the track record that you guys have. There's a lot of franchises that they have one location and the next year they start franchising, and the fact that Andrew and Buddy took 10 years and then started franchising. It was really developed, and
that was right. So I'll leave you with this. We can offer people really 3.5 levels of investing: the baby, the mommy, the daddy, and then we have the packaging, the wholesale. So a baby program is a 1-store commitment, which we talked about. It starts with that $45,000 franchise fee. We build the store from there. 6 to 9 months, you're open. It's everyday business for us, but a huge deal for you. And we know that. So that's the one store commitment. Then the other store commitment is multiple stores. People that really want to build an empire, a 3 or 5 store commitment to be open in 3 or 5 years, and you'll protect the territories ahead of time. And we have a real program for that. Then there is the Daddy program, area representative. This is one notch below creating your own concept and franchising it. Like I did, you'll take Andrew's concept and run with that. You'll open a store and use that to help develop your area, your county, your city, maybe even your state. We're going to do this overseas. And then we'll share in the revenues and we'll share in the support. And that's a whole nother story. So that is the Daddy program, otherwise known as area representative. And then next year, we will be reintroducing a wholesale product, Rush Bowls in a package.
That's exciting.
Yes.
So that should help build brand awareness, I imagine.
Correct. As a brand extension, Andrew, the founder, again, give him all the credit in the world. About 7 years into his working with his brand, before he met Buddy, he did get a little bored. And instead of opening more stores, he created a packaged product that's frozen, pint-sized, with a Rush Bowls label, looks like Haagen-Dazs the way it's packaged, and it is commercially made with preservatives, with stabilizers, so it's not as healthy as freshly made. But like Howard Schultz at Starbucks did develop brand extensions, where you can buy Starbucks coffee on the shelves and freshly brewed in front. Same thing with Rush Bowls. So Andrew, for a short period of time, tested it, and he was able to stock it in Whole Foods in Boulder only until it was sold out.
Oh,
so
wow.
Check mark, supermarkets work. Then he put it up on Amazon, and I think it might be up there, but it's sold out. So we know that online works.
Great.
Then he started providing small standalone freezers about the size of a baby carriage and put it into some hospitals as a point of purchase. So that's a licensing. So then the cold packer, that's the manufacturer. That's a specialty type of manufacturing that's needed. They went BK, bankrupt. So we stopped the packaging, just focusing strictly on franchise.
Put that on hold for now.
But it will come back next year as a licensing opportunity.
Okay, that's exciting.
That's out there for franchise owners to get involved in packaging. Some people want to ship it overseas. Other people have, already contacts to bodegas or whatever it might be. That'll come down the road once the store's up and running. So again, we can offer some. We have express models for people that might be able to co-brand. We have opportunities in casinos and hotels where liquor might be a menu item. So a lot of options for people. So my very last point, you can see how excited I am. My very last point, I can tell you through experience that serious people that have taken a serious look at Rush Bowls and have walked away primarily because we're not institutionalized. I mean, if the spoons aren't 6 inches from the napkins, you're not in jeopardy of losing your license like at Jamba Juice. But conversely, we don't have a lot of stores open for many years in all different environments, in all different types of neighborhoods. That's the pioneering mentality. If you tell me, Philip, pioneers take all the arrows, that's not what we're looking for. We need people to help us write the playbooks. We can support you. That's the beauty. We don't have to grow into this. Bring us the opportunities. Bring us your ingenuity and your entrepreneurial spirit. Okay? Thank you.
Well, Philip, thanks so much for having me on. I just shared a link. If you're interested in scheduling a call with Philip to learn more about Rush Bowls, there's a link here. Check it out on vettedbiz.com and take a look at their profile. And Philip's available for any consultations.
Excellent. I look forward to working with any of you in your individual situations and see if we can make it work.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Well, thank
Have
you.
a good weekend, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.